Hi everybody, my name's Vicky. I'm going to be giving you a brief session on role plays, some resources and some helpful steps to follow along the way just to make it easier for you. This is part of our assessments. You're going to get this recording and it's a resource that you'll be able to keep in your learner library. Let's get started. So with our role play resources, these are your practitioner skills and the recordings. So some of these you will have a scenario, we'll provide that for you, and you'll act that out in that time, the way you would if you were working in the sector to the best of your ability. So by the end of this session, you'll know what is needed in all role plays, what we look for when we assess them, and how to book in for ones that you need to have an assessor with you. In your instructions, it'll say this is assessor-led. And then when you're ready, you book that with us, and I'll step you through that as well. So why do we do skills assessments? That's our duty of care as part of your studies, to be able to prepare you to go out into the workplace. So unless you're on stage and this is something that you do all the time, it can actually be quite daunting. But we want you to know what we're looking for and how to approach this so that you don't feel like you're racked with anxiety or imposter syndrome. This is about, think about how you would like someone to work with you if you were coming to someone with an issue and you wanted to get some help and support. And there's some little tips along the way. We'll do some of those short micro skill resources. But for this, it's about why do we do them? So about 50% of your work is written, and that's your knowledge component. The other 50% is your skills. So when you do an Australian quality framework or a nationally recognised qualification, a certificate 4, certificate 3, or a diploma level, then everybody has gone through this. That's the knowledge, your written, and your skills, your practitioners, skills and ability to apply that to go out and work. And that certificate, that diploma is recognised Australia-wide. So all community vocational education training qualifications require that you have done proof of your practitioner skills and that they have been assessed by qualified trainers and assessors. Visually, this is done in a simulated and virtual setting that mirrors where a qualified worker would be in the workplace. So I've done that. We're not there together in real time, but I have chosen a background that simulates my workplace environment. I have a clinic when I'm not training with Hader, and in my clinic, it's pretty much these colours, but you select yours, read the scenario and make a decision based on that. What would that be like? Also, when I'm doing a recording like I am for you now, come dressed for work. This is how I would work in the community sector. And a lot of us will have maybe a logo on a uniform, but when we're a learner, we are being assessed on our practitioner skills and our readiness for that, especially before we go into work placement, if that's part of your qualification. So you can see in my background, I've got 2 chairs, I've got calm tones, I have well ventilated, a window, I've got an exit door in my clinic, and I even have information brochures in front of me and my client. I have a small desk, it's round, and I have a little sandbox on it and some water, brand new ambient water bottles that are clean and fresh. If my clients are feeling thirsty, a box of tissues. And sometimes if I've got younger people in there, I might have a few more fidgets. So I have them for myself as well. So it might be something as simple as this, just to help someone have a distraction. So you set your virtual setting up the way that you feel comfortable. This is your space and it's your recording. So what do you need to do? So prepare and plan. So you'll need to go through your instructions, very important. So you'll need to record yourself performing a role play based on a scenario that we give you. We'll put some characters in there. You've got your dashboard, your simulated work information portal. Depending on the qualification, you get the link to log in, you get the username and the passcode to enter into it. In that will be a whole suite of policies and procedures that it's talking about for the role play. So some role plays have the instruction and they want you to put in another document to support that. So read the instructions carefully and use those links that we give you in that instruction when you're up to doing the skills part. So you'll need a client, someone else to play that client for you. Now, who will you get? You'll get someone who can read. You'll get someone who can understand, even if they have not been through that. But they need to have read that, understand, and place themselves in that situation as if they were the client. It needs to be enacted or mirror as close as you can in the scenario and follow the steps that you've been trained to do in your learner's guide and in your classes in real time, or the recordings that you get. So you'll prepare. So we'll outline that in our classes, and class sessions you can use as a resource to play that back. So each of your trainers are available, and if you've got frequently asked questions, then you can take that up to our learner support officers. So we're hoping that this resource and a couple of other shorter micro skill resources will be a great toolbox kit for you to be able to jump into your role plays and feel confident and comfortable. The more you do, the better you get, the easier it is. So what are some of the key steps? Okay, so we have read the instructions carefully, very important. Ensure you understand the requirements. That includes the content and the timelines that you need to follow. Find someone, classmate, family, or friend to play the client. Share role play instructions with the person that's going to play the client to help them also prepare. And who can play the client? It can be someone from your class, and in the non-recording part of your class, often we will exchange emails, phone numbers, where learners can network and collaborate. Might happen in a breakout room as well. Can be your family members, friends. You might already work in the sector and you could ask your colleagues. But we need to be able to have someone old enough and experienced enough to be able to read it and I guess understand that they're going to be, even though it's hypothetical, they're going to play the client as described in the instruction. So it takes practice and preparation. So prepare your client by giving them the instructions, encourage them to be as realistic as they can, because that's going to make it easier for you. And then aim to create a simulated experience that reflects what would happen in a workplace session. That's what you're going to be assessed on. So recording these assessments, what to do: prepare, practice, and present. So don't let your first recording be the one that you send out unless you're well through and you're feeling really comfortable. But everything takes practice, no matter what we do, and everything is easy when we know how. So prepare, practice, then present. Dress for work, have your virtual background, make sure that you read the scenario well before you record. Choose your recording resource, so that's your tool. Show your Hey to Learner name on the Zoom screen the way that it is in your enrolment. So I've put up my name, Vicky Hannah. I've also put in my First Nation land, and that would be the correct name. We would also ask for someone to show their learner ID number. You can put that up. So we do that and we put that next to our face. We make sure that we share that with, oh, okay. It's my first blooper with our camera. So just make sure that the photo ID resembles you and you position that. So look, I'm not an expert on this, as you can quickly see, and we're not expecting you to. We know your intention's amazing. Just make sure that when you come in, why do we do that? We need to know it's you doing your assessment with your written ones. We get you to sign off. But there's another reason as well. When we're working in the sector, we will often have our suitability card. Maybe if you're working with NDIS clients, we have that as well. So ID is something that we do in the sector, and we simulate everything as closely as we can. So you are ready for work placement, if that's what you're doing as part of your course, and you're ready to go into the workplace. And if you're already working in the sector, then you'll have an understanding of why we need your ID. It says who you are and why you're there, and that this is your own work. So plan, make sure you've been over your instructions, you've got all the supporting document templates ready to prepare and in what order, and then share, provide the instructions with the person playing the client. Practice it together, ensure your timing is as instructed. So if it says no greater than 5 minutes, then 1 minute won't cut it, but 4 minutes would. If you did 7, it's likely that could get sent back because it says no greater than 5 minutes. No greater than 10, we'd be looking for somewhere between 5 and 10. But there's a few things in those 5, 10, and 15-minute ones where there's a couple of other layers in there, or it might be more than one person that you're doing this with. And so you need to have everybody contribute to that, allowing for that extra time. So don't go over time, save it as instructed, which it will say, save as an MP4, and then upload into your portal. There's some other tips that we've got as well for that, but we'll do that in a separate section. So where it is in your learner portal and it says role play, upload here, you put your evidence in, you've saved it in your computer, it'll say browse, and you upload it, and then you save that evidence, and that will show itself in that spot on your student portal with that assessment for that particular role play. Label them, put the unit code there as well, so that we know which role play it is that you're doing. When you do your role play, you'll introduce yourself with your name, and you'll say, for example, this is CHC COM 002, and I'm doing task 3, and today I'm with 4 other learners, and I'm facilitating meeting on workplace health and safety. That goes for 15 minutes, and then there's 5 minutes feedback session afterwards. That's one that's assessor-led, but every role play has an instruction. So what are the final steps? Watch it before you send it. Check your sound, that the visual is the way that you want it to be looked at after someone else goes in and marks it for you. And then the timing is correct. Once you're satisfied, then submit that for marking. Double check your work and review before submitting. Read the assessor's guidelines. Ensure that you meet the criteria for being marked as competent. So like your written work, you have 3 attempts, and in your role plays, you also have 3 attempts. We can open up more if you need it. However, sometimes it might be that you've just missed 1 or 2 things. You might have forgotten to introduce the unit. You might have forgotten to show your ID. You might have even forgotten to have your full name on your Zoom screen and missed that. If it comes back to you, it will say you can keep the first submission if that's the only things that are missing, and you can do a brief 5-minute or less than 5-minute part 2. So you won't undo the work you've done, but we would need to see those other things in it. So your content could be great, but if you've missed the introduction, if you've missed saying which unit it is, and if you've missed your ID or stating your HADA student ID number to identify that this is your own work, then you could do that in a brief 5-minute and upload that in your 2nd or your 3rd attempt. Here are your final steps once you've actually done that. What are some common mistakes to avoid? So these all come from frequently asked questions with our learners. What am I missing? Try and make this as relaxed as you can for yourself, but what not to do. don't forget to show your ID or state your name and the unit that you are doing. Your unit has a code, might be CHC YTH 020, and this role play has part A and part B. That requires 2 10-minute sessions, and it requires 3 people. Though if you can only get 2, sometimes you can get someone to play 2 parts, but you definitely cannot do a role play on your own unless we give you an embedded video in that. But you'll know that because you'll have read through the instructions. So do not read from a script, and don't do it on your own. So reading from a script is not how we work with our clients. So you need to know your content, and your client will need to know what they need to do. And between you, you will have that session, and that will be recorded on that particular topic. So don't go over time, and don't present yourself in your own residential or in bed or in your pajamas. Really think about if you're having a meeting, have a meeting room as if there was room for 4 or 5 other people to be there. Go through, if you haven't got that in your Zoom, where you can go through that scroll, go to Google, find some backgrounds that you're comfortable with. This is your professional space, your simulated workplace environment. Let us know what that's like. If you struggle with that, then blur your background and then describe the room. I blurred my background. However, this is the kind of setting that I would be in. Excuse me. So, otherwise, yes, it would need to be redone, but we could probably do that in a part 2, like I mentioned earlier. What are some additional resources? Okay, so your part 2, which I spoke to you about, here's a tip on how to do part 2. So I've just done a brief one for you under 5 minutes. If you covered those steps and redid it again, then those 2 can be viewed and assessed together. So you could have put a lot of effort into that. We don't want you to undo that if you've met that mark. So if your assessor gives you the feedback and it's letting you know to try again, and we say, do this as part 2, then here you have a link. In your slides, you'll be able to go through and watch that. So we're at the end of our info session slide. So look, if you enjoyed the session, leave us a 5-star review on Google, sharing what you found to be beneficial. Any of our resources, your reviews help others discover that amazing learning experience at Hayter Institute of Education. And I want to thank you. You're part of our student community, and a team of trainers and learner support officers who are all here to support you. So have fun with your role plays. We're not expecting that you're a professional performer. In fact, we know that our clients will engage more with us if we feel natural in that space. So know you've got a lot of support, and we're here to be able to make that happen a little bit smoother and easier for you. So have fun doing your role plays.